and I've said it before, and I will say this about Terrell Owens. It is a shame that the Pro Football Hall of Fame kept him out because they use character to keep him out. Correct me if I'm wrong, champ. And I've heard this from Shannon Sharp. He said, when it comes to the Hall of Fame, you are never supposed to take off the field issues into consideration. But when
Yes,
right,
you're
when
absolutely correct.
but when T.O.'s name was mentioned, suddenly they changed it. So they came up with different rules. They factored what he did in the sideline, what they did in the huddle, what they did in the locker room. T.O., was he perfect? No. But at the end of the day, his results are unquestionable. You're talking about a 6-time Pro Bowler, a 5-time first team All Pro. He is one of 3 men to be a first team All Pro on 3 different teams: San Francisco, Philadelphia, Dallas. You know the other 2 men in that category who's done it with T.O.? Ted Hendricks, and we all know very well Deion Sanders. Both of them in the Hall of Fame, first ballot.
Yeah.
T, but and the other problem I have with the media, the voters, and I hate to say this, Randy Moss. Now that's not to say that Randy Moss doesn't belong in the Hall of Fame. Don't get me wrong. He belongs in the Hall of Fame as a first ballot. But the media gave him a pass because of his involvement with the media and ESPN. And they suddenly changed and cleaned up his image and reputation. Champ, Randy Moss told the world, I play when I want to.
Yeah.
And you mean to tell me T.O. can't be a Hall of Famer?
He's in the Hall of Fame. We're just talking about how long they kept him out of the Hall of Fame.
They kept him out
I
for
know,
three
but
years.
I'm just saying, like, you can do that, but like they won't take accountability of what Randy Moss did, and that's kind of like crazy to me.
But
I mean,
the
remember
media,
Randy Moss had that incident with a police officer back when he was in
yeah, he
Minnesota.
was
I,
driving his
I
car. He was driving his car. He bumped into a police officer, and they later found marijuana in the car. He also had issues with substance abuse. That's why he fell in the draft as well, champ.
Yeah,
Dallas was gonna take him,
you know
but
what's
yeah,
because of Michael Irvin, they were like,
you know what you know what's crazy? Randy Moss, he was supposed to go to Notre Dame until he got in trouble with the law or whatever, and that's how like he committed the martial and stuff because he was supposed to originally go to Notre Dame, but he got in trouble.
then no, that's not the whole part. The coach from Notre Dame called Bobby Bowden. Then he was supposed to go to Florida State.
Hmm.
yeah.
He failed another drug test. Bobby Bowden called Marshall. Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
remember that. I remember
So
that.
not to mention, the trouble he got into in high school. I know that's way, way far back from the NFL days, but when you think about all the distraction that he may have said that he may have put said on the NFL level, even Chris Carter, his one of his good friends used to call him out all the time once he left Minnesota and said himself, when things are going bad or not going the way they're supposed to, he will fold. And people had, and I think you'll remember this too, PSP. Remember when Dennis Green got fired
Yes.
from the Minnesota Vikings? People said, people better watch Randy Moss. He's not going to be in Minnesota very long after, since Dennis Green's gone, because Dennis Green was his biggest fan. And lo and behold, they traded him a couple years after Dennis Green left.
Mm-hmm. Because they just felt like they had enough. But and again, I am not saying that Randy Moss should not be in the Hall of Fame and not be a first ballot. That is not what I'm saying at all. What I'm
Yeah.
saying is T.O. should not be ostracized. T.O. put up numbers, and people forget that Super Bowl. Dude played on one leg. One leg in that Super Bowl. Had no business playing in that Super Bowl. And champ, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't he labeled selfish for
Yes.
playing in that Super Bowl?
Yeah, he was able selfish for playing in the Super Bowl with his team. And I think here's the thing. Here's the wording got messed up with that. The whole thing, he was like, yes, he never said I'm doing this to help my team. That was the problem with the said media of that time. Well, he never said I was doing it. He was like, I'm doing this to prove my dad is wrong, prove I can still play, and to play in the Super Bowl. He never said, I'm doing this to help my team play and win the Super Bowl. And that's what they balked on at that particular time. And because of his issues with Donovan McNabb and him saying that we don't have to replace T.O., you
Right.
know.
And also the contract situation because T.O. wanted a new contract. Donovan didn't want to get involved at the time, but he spoke on behalf of Brian Westbrook.
The
And
year
that's no
before.
knock. Right. And that's no knock on Brian Westbrook. Brian Westbrook was a very good player for the Eagles. But T.O. looks at betrayal and he's like, wait a minute. If you could speak up for Brian Westbrook, why can't you speak up for me? And then T.O., I saw the Club Shay Shay podcast. He mentioned an incident in which Donovan told him to shut the F up.
In the huddle.
He said that T.O. said that in his documentary. I don't know if you guys
A
watched
football life.
Football Live. Yeah, T.O. said that in his Football Live thing.
Yeah. So, and he's been very adamant about that. And Donovan got a pass because he was the quarterback, the face of the franchise, the Campbell's Chunky Soup commercials, and all that other stuff. And plus, Donovan, if I'm not mistaken, champ, wasn't he accused of throwing up in the huddle in the Super Bowl? Wasn't he
Yeah.
drinking the night before of the Super Bowl?
That's what they're not only that, we had another incident once he became a broadcaster. Remember
Mm-hmm.
that?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, you got to remember that as well. Like I said, but that goes back to what I said with Ben Roethlisberger. People are never going to hold a quarterback's feet to the fire quite like they would do at another position.
Especially someone of his
This
complexion.
is his caliber. Yeah, you're not going you're not going to hold his feet to the fire. And if you really want to be honest, Donovan McNabb didn't get over the hump until T.O. came along.
Yeah.
He couldn't get over the hump. And people get on to me when I say this. When you think about this, people are going to say, well, Donovan, yeah, he didn't have any weapons prior to T.O. That is true. But think about what else he had.
A
Jimmy
defense.
Johnston, yes, Jimmy Johnston had arguably one of the greatest defenses during that time that you had. One of the best secondaries. These guys were the Legion of Boom before the Legion of Boom.
And you have Brian Dawkins.
Then you have Brian Dawkins. You have some of the best pass rushers in the league. Jeremiah Trotter was a great linebacker at that time. And what do everybody get on the well, he didn't have a top 5 defense. Donovan McNabb had that. And he had
Andy
Deuce
Reid.
Staley,
Yeah.
Brian Westbrook, Chad Lewis, bunch of guys. You had one of the greatest defenses of all time. The only thing they didn't do was win a Super Bowl.
Right.
Tom Brady, if you go to Man in the Arena, he honestly said that was one of the best defenses I have faced in the Super Bowl. Even the Legion of Boom. He put them over the Legion of Boom.
Right. And not only that, though, you also had a guy in Andy Reid who was dialing up schemes, dialing up plays. The only knock Andy Reid had in Philadelphia was clock management and could he win the big one.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's with the media. Like I said before, I just can't take the Hall of Fame seriously anymore like I once did.